Uh, Thank you very much for the time. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to meet you all. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Gandhi Ermasari. I'm chemistry teacher at SMK Negeri 1 Sukasade, Buleleng, Bali. Before I start, I would like to apologize because I requested to change the today's schedule. I hope all of you could still follow the today conference. And I also hope that this sharing session could be useful for all of you. Okay, today my topic is about logic and algorithm that used in developing games, especially using construct tool. As you know, construct is an application that allows anyone to build games without coding. Uh, in construct, you just need logic and algorithm to make a game. There are a special feature in construct called event that allow us to define how the game works using logical block system instead of complicated scripting and or program language. For example, this is an example of one event in construct. If the bullets on collision with monster, so the monster will subtract 1 from health and the bullet will be destroyed. When the bullets collide with monster, the event condition is met. So this action is specific between a certain bullet and a certain monster. Other object beside monster and bullet will not be effective by this action. So I will give you some example about my game. My game is a very basic platform games. Platform games is a game that a player guide a character through obstacle, jumping on platforms, battling enemies in others to advance. The purpose of this game is to find some atom that create a certain molecule. Because I'm a chemistry teacher, so I made a game that related to my lesson. Still, my game is need a lot of improvement. This is my game description, the background story, players, the aliens. My players as an aliens lost in chemical world, then the player have to find right atom to form a molecule. The genre is platform games. The game objective is to find atom that need to form the molecule. This is my game flow chart. So there are main menu, main game screen, win screen, game over screen. The main menu, in main menu there are play button that will be connected to main screen. In main screen, I just made two level 1 and level 2. Then if you win in level 1, then win screen will appear. If you lose, then game over screen will appear. If you want to play again, so you will click the play button, so you will back to level 1. If you don't want to play again, you will click the main menu, then you will back to main menu screen. This is my game flowchart. Now, for this in main game screen, there are some logic that I use In this screen, player play main game with the following logic. 1. The player guide a character through obstacle, jumping platform, and avoiding enemies. In the beginning of main game screen, the player will see a task to create a certain molecule. Player must catch the right type and amount of atom that conduct the molecule. Atom will be shown randomly in screen. If the player catch wrong type of atom, then -1 to life. So in this game, I use two global variable, which one life and coin. So if the player catch wrong type of atom, so the life will be -1. If player catch wrong amount of atom, they also -1 to life. If the player touch the enemy, which is chemical spill, then -1 also to life. If player catch a coin, then add 10 point to coin. If player catch right amount of atom, then add 50 to coin. If the life equal to 0, then this main screen will go to game over screen. If player catch the right type and amount of atom that conduct the molecule, then this main screen will go to win screen. This is the logic that I use in my game. I will also show you how I implement this logic into in construct. Then this is the main menu. There I use button, play button, and exit button. If you click play button, you will go to main game screen, which is a level 1. Then if you click exit, the browser will be closed. Then the game over screen, you will see play again button and main menu button. There also amount of coin that you get from playing the game. This is a game. This is win screen. So if you play again, you will back to level 1. If you click next level, you will go to level 2, and if you click main menu, you will go to main menu screen. This is all my presentation. Now I want to show you how I implement this logic into construct. So this is my game. This is my game. So level 1 is make water molecule. So the alien can move left and right, then can jump, also can do double jump. So if the alien touch the coin will be added in a coin variable. So if the this is the enemies, if the player touch the enemies, then the life will be subtract 1. So like that. If this game over, this is game over screen. So if you want to play again, you will come back to level 1. If you click main menu, it will go to main menu screen. This is main menu screen. If the sound is noise, so it can be silent with if you press space. So this is the construct. The construct is consists of the first one is layout, and the layout has event. So the layout in the layout is representing a game level, menu, or title screen. So we'll be able to insert a game character, background, button, and sprite in the layout. So for the logic, you will have to create it in the event. First of all, I use a global variable, which is life and coin. I use independent event because it will be used in every level. So I made it independently. The life number is 5 and the number of coin is 0. For the level 1, this is the level 1 layout level 1. So they are players, enemies, coin, and atom. I use platform games. So this is the event for level 1. I use a global variable for the number of oxygen and the number of hydrogen because I want the player create water. So the number of hydrogen is 2 and the number of oxygen is 1. And this is for player animation. So if you see, they are animated animation when the player turn to left or turn to right, and also in walking and in jumping. So this is the logic that I use to animate the player. So if the player moves, so the animation is walk. If the player on jump, so I set the animation to jump. If the player on stop, so I set animation to stand. If the player on fall after jump, so the animation is to stand. I also use if to move the player, we use a keyboard, which is turn left and turn right. So if the left the player press the left arrow, the player will mirror it. And if the if we press right arrow, then the player not mirror it. This logic is just to animate the player like this. This turn arrow, turn left, then turn right, and this for animated when the player jump. We also need to set the camera. The camera will follow the player. So we use logic every tick. Every tick mean every time. So every time the player move, the camera will move too. So we set the position of the camera player X 2040 because it's a middle of the stage. Also, for the gameplay, when I in my presentation, so this is if the player catch the coin, then add 10 to coin. So to make the logic in construct, if the player on collision with coin, then add 10 to number of coin. Then you have to set the text of number of coin. You also have to, if you want to to use some music or sound, you can use play coin, but not looping, just one sound, and then the coin will be destroyed. So it's like this. If the player collision with the coin, so the first one is the number of coin will be added, and then they are sound, and the coin that touched by the player will be disappear. Number two, if the player on collision with enemies, so I use one more animation to the player is that. So if the player collision with enemies, the player will animate that, then subtract 1 from end life. Then set text to end life and play some sound like this. This is the enemies. If the player touch the enemies, so there will be sound, and this is that animation. Also, the number of life will be subtract. So in my game, the goal is to find some atom that create a certain molecule. For this level 1, I want the player make a water molecule. So it's when the player collision with atom oxygen, so it will be add 50 to n coin. Then set text to n coin. Also, the number of oxygen will be decreased 1. Then set text to number of oxygen. Then the oxygen atom will be destroyed. I use sound same as the coin. It also used in if the player collision with hydrogen atom. So I also put some the other element which is sulfur and nitrogen. If the player touch the wrong atom, so the player will be dead. The logic is if the player on collision with nitrogen atom, which is not used to create water, so the first one is I will play some sound, then subtract 1 from player life, then set text to player life, then destroy the nitrogen atom, then set animation to that. It's also used for if the player collision with sulfur atom. So if the number of hydrogen is equal to 0 and number of oxygen is equal to 0, that means the player are successful to form the certain molecule that in task level 1. So the if the global variable for hydrogen and oxygen is equal to 0, the number of hydrogen and oxygen is equal to 0, then I set the set from disable. Then I use a system to wait 1.2 seconds, then go to windscreen. And the other one, if the number of life is equal to 0, I also set the player disable, then set the player to animation to death, and wait 0.2 second before go to the game over screen. Then there also a theme sound from the very beginning screen, which is main menu, that will be used in this game. But if it's feel annoyed, so the player can press space, so the sound will be mute. This is what I use for level 1. It's also I use because I use the global variable independently in the other event, so I need to edit system that every time the system begin, set text to number of life and set text to number of coin. So if the screen start again, it will be develop a global variable. Then I will go to game over screen. This is my game over screen. So this is the event. In game over screen, they are uh, uh, used to perform the coin that player can get when they play the games. And this is the button. If you use a free version of construct, you cannot import a button. Then you have to use this basic button. So I cannot import buttons because this use I use just button like this. So this is play again. This is main menu. For the event, I use if this in the system if this layout start, so set text to number of coins, so they can see the number of coin. Then I set the position to this x and y. Then the system start layout, they will play some sound. Then if you button play on click, then it will be go to level 1. If the bottom main menu on click, then it's go to main menu. The system, if the system is end of the layout, so the end of the layout, the text will be destroyed. This is text for a number of coin. because if you don't add this, the number of coin will be see in the other layout. For the win, this is the win screen. So for the win screen, they are next level button. If you could successful in form uh, to form the molecule, you will see this screen. Then if you click play again, you will back to level 1. If you click main menu, you will be in back in main menu, and next level you will be go to level 2. For the event, it's same as the game over screen. The first of all is if this layout start to appear, the text number of coin will be see, you can see the number of coin. Then if this layout start, then you will hear the sound. If you click play button, then you will go to level 1. Then you have to uh, edit to destroy the text of coin. It's also the same for next button and main menu button. This is the main menu. If you click play, this is the layout of the main menu. Then the event will be if the system start this layout, so there will be sound that looping. So it will be, you can hear it uh, in other screen too. So in if you click uh, play, then go to level 1. Then now if you want to exit, we need to edit a browser in layout. So insert new object, you can find a browser here in web. So if you make this logic to exit, so the browser will be closed. So if you see, it will be like, so if win, this screen will be appear. If you click next, this is the coin that you get from the level 1. If you click next level, then you will be in level 2. In level 2, you will make a hydrogen peroxide molecule. The game over screen, if you the number of lives is equal to 0, then if you this is the main menu. If you want to exit, then click exit, then the game will be exit from your browser. Maybe uh, that's all that I can present. If you have a question, so you can ask. One tips for you when you make the character or the background, coin, and uh, object that you will be used in construct, it will be better you use uh, the size in pixel, so you can exactly uh, know the size. Like this is just 35 and 52 pixels. So if you use like uh, Corel or whatever you uh, software that you make the character, please use the size in pixel, so uh, it will be help you in making the game, because one I use in inches or in centimeter is too big in construct. When I import construct, it's so big, so I need to resize all the game asset before I can make the game. maybe I can make a demo how I set the animation. So I will add layout. So this is the layout, and for the event sheet, I will rename it into event layout 1. So the first is you need to change the layout size. I use now, which is 480. So this is my layout. So then I insert object. I want to use a background first. Insert the background. So this is background. If you want the position correct, so you can change it in properties and common. So this is the layout. Then I will click, right click, so insert the platform. So this is the platform. If you want to sizes, it can. So if you want to edit, just copy paste, then it will be too. Okay. So for the players, you will animate it first the player. So you need sprite, insert, then this default you can for stand, just add player. Then I will change the name into stand. Then I will add an animation when the players jump and walk and that. So I use 4 animation, stand for players that stand, jump, walk, and that. To edit the animation, click in animation frame. You can import the frame from files. For jump, I use this one. Change the polygon shape of the player, so you can apply to whole animation. So the whole animation become polygon. So this click jump, and you can change the look which is I change it into yes. So the animation will be look like this. Then I use the same for walk. I import frame, the player from frames, then and I will going to apply to whole animation. Then click walk, change the loop into yes. So you will get animation like this when it's the player walk. And for the depth, you will not use animation. So I will just use one picture. Then I have the player. So to make the logic to animate it in, so add event in the layout event one. First one is player. If the player is stop, the first one is stop, then this is the condition. So if the player is stop the condition, then we add an action, which is the player, sorry, set animation. So we click stand, done. So for if the player is walk, then we use on move. So if the player on move, you will add action, the player, next set animation, then you click walk, done. And for jump, player, on jump, add action, player, set animation, is jump, done. So it's for uh, logic to animated the player. So if you want to see the result, this one. Oh, I forget to uh, give the player behavior. So we need to add behavior on player because this is platform. So you need to, what is platform? Add behavior platforms to the player. Also for the platform, you will need to add solid behavior. So it's just a minute. So I will choose the landed. Add the player there. Next, set animation with this time. So it's the logic for animating the player. Is any question? Yes. Yes, yes. I want to ask, what do you mean about local floor? It's the platform. This is the platform. So I make this with design it with uh, in Corel. So then I make it size mm, 30 and 30 pixels. So it's will be not be big when I import it into the construct. So if you want to make this floor, then it's just import, insert new object, then import. Then you have to make sure that the behavior is solid. So if the behavior is not solid, the player will not able to stand in the floor.